Well, obsession. You mind if I go first on this?
I have no clue where you're gonna start. So
Okay.
Go right ahead.
All right. Starting there.
It's a good place to start. I think this one really needs time.
To kind of go through, yeah. I guess I'm probably gonna say like kind of what my journey was when I was watching, and so like when it started out,
Mhm.
I pretty quickly like wrote off Bear as like this dude's not me. All right, like this
Yeah.
dude is not me. I am not this fucking guy. This is not how I would operate.
Yep.
And then at a certain point in the movie, which I would imagine might have been the midpoint.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was when he was on the phone call. I'd be shocked if that was not the actual midpoint of the movie. At
Feels
that
like
point,
it is, at least plot-wise.
Yeah. At that point, I was like, dude, he's actually me to a T. Like,
He's a bit too real.
Yeah, and like, so like, what was the first thing that like I wrote him off? Like, when at the beginning Nikki is like, now's the time to tell me if you really like me,
Yeah.
right? Like, and he's like, pussies out. I'm like, dude, yeah, this dude's not me. He's a fucking,
He's a pussy.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
a punk. He's not gonna do this, and that's not really what it's about,
No.
It's not really about him being a pussy. It's about him. What I would say is just like, just being a guy, and like, having a very biological and human desire.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that it's really, my thesis on it is that it's really like it's a look in the mirror for a lot of our, like, I would say all men, our like,
At least our generation.
yeah, our like, no, I would say all men in general.
Yeah.
Our like natural selfish desires
To be loved.
to
Be
kind of
wanted.
think like the grass is always greener on the other side.
Yeah.
So like he's and kind of in this selfish desire where like, so he like, here's where it is that really got me. So he's on the phone, right?
Yep.
And that was a great scene, dude. The dude on the phone was fucking hilarious.
It
yeah,
was.
like, what's up? What can I do for you,
Yeah.
asshole? Like, and so first he's like, do you want to cancel your wish? And he's like, he knows it's fucked. He knows it's so fucked.
Yep.
Like, this is at the point where she's already terrifying the shit out of him.
Yep. Or he
And-
doesn't want to go home. He's doing this in the
Yes,
driveway.
and it's like, dude, how could you not want to cancel it? And he's like, no, I don't want to cancel it. That's not his first instinct.
Yep.
He's like, this is kind of still exactly what I wanted.
This is what I wished
This is
for.
still, like, it's kind of, honestly, closer to just inconvenient.
Yeah.
And, like, this isn't exactly
Like-
what I wanted. It's still,
Like,
but
you
it
should have
just-
worded it a little bit better.
Right.
The classic wish
this
scenario.
is still what I wanted, And then he's like, eventually he's like, yeah, I want to cancel whatever.
Yep.
And so and then he's like, do you want to talk to Nikki? And, we hear her just like in agony, like her
Yep.
real soul just in complete agony on the phone. And he's just like, he hangs up, he doesn't want to deal with this. And that was the point where I was like, yo, I think I could really see myself being that fucking selfish, where it's like damn, like that really sucks.
It
But,
is.
like,
It's not my problem.
yeah, it's
Hang
like
up the phone.
you're kind of like, you're faced with like it's like it's a thought that we have when we're fucking in middle school, when we're 12 years old, and we're like, damn, I wish I could just flip a button and be able to bang any chick I want whenever I want. Like, I wish they were all just fucking wanted me. And like, you
Wish
kind
for
of,
God in a certain way.
Yeah.
You can make things bend to your will.
right, and like, there still is a part of that ugly truth in all of us. And
Where life would be easier.
yeah, so
And the grass is always greener.
exactly. So he gets the fucking,
He gets the
he
girl.
gets the call, and he's like, yeah, like, this fucking sucked. It's fucking weird, and it's honestly, it's clearly not right. Like,
Yeah.
he's, he is
It's not
killing
real.
her real soul. Yes.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, whatever, like, I just gotta keep, I just gotta ignore it. And like, there is like that cowardice.
Mhm. He
I
is a
think,
coward.
Yeah, in all of us.
Yep.
And it was like a face in the mirror where it's like, this may not be me necessarily, but I could see it in a certain universe being me. Like how how we
Like this
feel
is an
about-
extreme,
right.
but it is not out of the possibility.
Of course. It's like, I've found myself in situations where it's like, you put someone through some serious punishment in their own life for the sake of your own agenda.
Yep.
And I think another thing that it touched on interestingly in that same sphere is ideas of consent. So like on the same phone call, he's like, just because you chose this for her doesn't make it not real.
Yep.
And it's like, so he's like, she's clearly not a consenting individual in what's happening right now. And he's like, yeah, that fucking sucks. And it would be great if
We could change this.
if she
but-
did consent,
Yeah.
but I'm still getting what I want. And so I think I'm just gonna have to ignore that part. And it's like that's another thing where it's like, yeah, like I could see a worse version of myself, some part of that in all of us, in all of our sexual
It is an
desires.
extreme, but it still exists.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it forced you to look at ugly parts of yourself that you need to keep down.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people will be like, "Oh, that's not me." Like, I would
You
never
can't
do
submit
that.
to your desires.
Yeah, it's like he's honestly just being human. It doesn't mean it's right, but he's like being very human. He just wants what he wants. He doesn't care about the consequences. It's a very animalistic outlook. It's not good or bad one way or the other. It is bad, but it is just like it's just closer to.
But like
the
his
actions,
his actions aren't good or bad. Of course, the outcomes and what he's doing is, but the reason for his actions.
He just wants
is
what he wants. He wants the girl. That's
Yep.
it. And like another part that really nailed the coffin to me was, or nailed what was the final nail in the coffin to me as like, holy shit, this guy is actually fucking me, was towards the climax.
Yep.
When the real Nikki wakes up in the bed and she's like, she's like begging him, like she's softly begging him to kill him.
Yep.
To kill her.
Yep.
And what does he say? This is where it was like, it fucking shocked me. He was like, how bad is it to be in love?
Yeah.
With me? Would it really be so bad? Because it's like, he's obviously like,
He's coping with how bad
yeah,
it
you
is.
feel the complexity there. He's like, yeah, this really sucks. But what's his first thought is
Him.
about him.
Yep.
Yeah, like his first thought is a selfish thought, and like
It continues to be the entire time.
Right.
He is thinking about himself, and that's not necessarily wrong because at a certain
We're
point
just
we have to
humans,
think about
yeah.
ourselves.
But you have to, find a balance.
There's a
in it,
balance,
or a
there's-
maturity.
Yeah.
And like, it's almost like a demon that exists. Like the selfishness is a demon that it's encoded into all of us for survival, for desires to procreate and all that. Sure,
Yep.
you can try to call it whatever you want.
Like you should
but it's
feed the
fucking-
starving. Like
it's
they're
fucking in
starving
there.
and they're gonna die,
Yeah.
and you're eating even though you're not starving.
Mhm.
Are you gonna feed them?
Not
No,
great.
I'm
Yeah.
not at least.
Exactly.
And that
like,
sucks.
Morality changes with certain circumstances.
Yes.
It's like the first instance of morality we're taught about like stealing the piece of bread.
Yep.
Like whether or not if you need to feed your family or not. Like it's the moral experimental thought. But like in something like this, it's like he has a job, he's a normal person, he's an attractive guy, and he's also desired clearly by a babe.
Yep.
And like this is just a look in the mirror at, I would actually say, male selfishness. And I'm not the first person to be like, fuck the patriarchy. I hate all that bullshit. But it's like, this does kind of like talk about like a lot of things that
It's
I really hate about
heavy
myself.
themes.
Yeah. Like-
it is a look in the mirror, no matter how close or far away
Right.
you are from being
thematically,
there.
I would never go to this length. I'd like to think that I would never go to this length because I've never been presented with this. But it's like,
Because you're not presented with the situation.
Right,
but
but
if
if
you
I
were
was
presented with this situation,
if I
what
was-
decisions would
yes,
you
if
make?
I was like presented with a wish, or to be able to make it a wish to be able to bang any chick I want whenever I want, I'd like to think that I'd be like, it's probably not right.
Yeah, it's probably not morals.
Yeah, but
apply.
like, there's probably a part of me that would be like, that sucks. I would never know if she really wants me. It also violates consent.
Yep.
But I'm gonna do it anyway because it is what I want. And so I'd like to think that's not the part of me that would win. And like he clearly, we see if I were to take that wish,
Yep.
if I were to take that wish and I'd be like, yes, that's what I want, I would have the same qualms with it. It's like, does she really like me? Or is it just
he
bullshit?
doesn't bang her on the first day.
He doesn't. No.
He doesn't. I think
He wants to feel like
he wants to feel like she does.
He wants to think it's real, yeah.
Banging her then just doesn't make any
No,
sense.
yeah, because it would be like, this would have to be just be because of this wish.
Yep.
He has to be like, no, there's some bullshit going on. You know, part of it is also probably that he's a coward, and that's why he didn't bang her immediately. And yeah, like that actually does explain a lot there. That he wouldn't.
He doesn't want to
go
be
right back in or right into it immediately.
He doesn't because he doesn't believe the lie that he has forced her into.
Mm-hmm.
He needs to be brought into it slowly.
Right, because it's not making sense to him. Even if it did, even if he knew exactly what was going on, he'd be like, I need to feel like, I need to have some...
Yeah, I need to feel like this is right.
Or at least some sort of plausible deniability that this is real. You know, I want to feel
and
like...
He finds that. He finds the plausible deniability. He waits a night, he asks his friend to talk to her, and they come back to him like, yeah, she's a little weird right now, but
whatever, dude. And then she,
like,
she made it clear the next night. It's like, okay, she's probably not on drugs right now. I take that as an argument to bang me, and then he fucking bangs her, and that's enough for him. But he still knows it's not real. So, but like touching on like the grass is always greener aspect of it. I think that's a huge, like, you know, there's almost like a mythological fable symbolism that you can do there. So he has a girl, the other girl, I think Sarah.
Yeah.
And like, it's pretty clear that she's into him, you know, pretty much from the start.
Yeah, from her introduction.
Yeah,
he doesn't notice the signs, but
he
us as the
audience does, I think.
I don't think he cares.
Because he wants Nikki. He wants what he doesn't have. You know, what he can't have. That's the grass is always greener part. So, you know, you take Sarah, and she is like, she is a fucking mega babe.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like I was talking with Brianna, my girlfriend, about it, and like she was we were comparing like the two girls. And honestly, like before Nikki got possessed, I was honestly like kind of like, yo, I'm not into this type of fucking manic pixie dream girl. I'm not in touch with my emotions bullshit. Like, I'm like, this is fucking annoying.
I mean, she's a writer, and we were talking about this.
Yeah, we were talking about this earlier, like an hour ago. And like, you know, she's like, oh, like when she's like, oh, if I had, you know, when I have a crush on a guy no one knows, it's like, fuck you, dude. Like
pick
you know,
me.
and so, yeah, she's a pick me, you know, she does have like the I'm not like other girls kind of attitude about her. And, you know, I think there's a time in every guy's life where we are enchanted by a girl like that. You know, before
because they are enchanted.
Yes. Until you kind of learn your lesson that you are, at least for a period, enchanted by a girl like that. And obviously, like in this story, Bear is enchanted by her. But you take a girl like Sarah, you know, she is
much more down to earth. She's talking about the problem. She's talking about being rejected from school. How many of us have not talked about that because it's too hard to handle?
Right.
And she's doing that.
She's just being open about it in a mature way.
Yeah.
You know, she is very mature comparatively to Nikki. And she, you know, I would say that she's
fairly emotionally intelligent.
For sure.
Definitely the most emotionally intelligent person in this film.
Yeah.
Like,
and
not a high bar to clear, but
no, they're all like they're all basically
they're all 20-somethings working a shit job.
First development of like, you know, sentience kind of thing, and like desire, and like she is definitely different from all of them in that regard. And she's not grating in any way, you know, and like to an outsider, it's easy to be like, you know, that's the one I pick, you know. She's just as hot, she's way fucking cooler, she's not difficult in any way,
like,
and also she wants me, like, and the other one kind of maybe does, maybe doesn't, but this one it's clear, and she seems to be like, you know, nicer.
A lot of the points throughout the movie, I kept replaying the first scene of like the phone call they had together. And that's not an easy phone call. Like, he's like, come home, cat's dead.
Right.
Cleans it up, gets a call from her, and he's kind of like, no, I don't want to go out. But he doesn't want to say the reason why. And it's because he doesn't want to be like, you know, emotionally guilt trip her out of something she wants him to do.
Right.
And like, because that'd be, I guess, shitty.
Yeah.
But like,
he's trying to save face.
She's trying to save face, find the right situation to do it. And she's not about it. She doesn't pick up on that. And who knows, on the other side of the phone, who would have picked up on it.
Right.
But it's clear that she doesn't care. She's focused on herself.
She lacks emotional maturity to really care about him.
and she ends up manipulating him to come out.
Mm.
And like that and the scene at the bar, those are our two biggest scenes, and then the car ride home of her real character.
Right. Before she gets possessed.
Yeah. And it's hard to find why he was enchanted at points.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was the major part that kept me being like, okay.
This guy's not me. I would have been smart enough to go after Sarah.
Well, I've been smart enough to know that, like,
this is not the move.
This is not the move.
This bitch is not the move.
It's a passing fancy.
Yeah.
You need to move on.
Right.
Like,
exactly. Like this
this
is
girl,
not gonna go well.
She's probably banging someone else.
Yeah.
She
sure
was.
enough, she was.
And she talks to me because I give her attention.
Mm-hmm.
And this girl exists, and clearly everyone in this movie exists at some point. They are
Sure.
very clear reflections of people in the current day.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Like
just
major archetypes.
Yes.
That we're faced with, like, you know, in the current
Yo,
pop culture climate.
I lost my train of thought on that one, but
With
I think it kept pulling me out of the situation Bear was in. And there's another thing that kept pulling me
You
out.
kind of like were like, this is
Like
that's where and at the start as well. I was thinking the same thing. Yeah, I was like,
Like-
this guy's not me. You know,
like
I'd be smart enough to not do
she's
that.
hot, and you know,
Especially since he's like
going-
in his mid-20s. You know,
Yes.
I'm like, you know, we're in our mid-20s,
Yep.
and I'm like, fuck it. You know, that's not the kind. That's not the one I'd go for. I'd be like, that is not the move. I pity any guy.
it's a lot of effort there.
Right.
Yeah, it's
A lot of time, a lot of
a lot,
effort, and it's
lot
like,
of headache.
and it's like, dude, like to a girl like that, I'd be like, grow the fuck up. You know, stop acting like a fucking child. But I have to admit, I was at some point in my life enchanted by a girl
Yep.
like that. You know, and that was the type of girl that'd be like, dude, she's like,
And I'm sure if I was,
her,
you know,
like writing poems about and shit
Yep.
like that. Yeah.
he clearly also doesn't know where he's gonna go.
Mhm.
They talk about it. He clearly doesn't know exactly what he wants to do,
Mhm.
and he's stuck at a job at a music store. That's not the end goal,
Mhm.
and he's kind of just
He's a bit adrift.
going through life.
He's
a bit adrift.
A young adrift male.
Yes,
Yeah.
and
How many of those are there right now?
and he has a goal. He wants to get the girl. This is the thing that's keeping him tethered from being adrift.
Mhm.
He has someone he's pining after, and he thinks that if he can get her, life will be figured out.
He's attaching his own meaning to her.
Yes.
To getting her.
And then there was another thing that kept pulling me out, which is
Mhm.
the cat. I think it gets brought
I
up
was trying to
several
find
times.
the meaning to the cat. What did you get from that?
So there's several points. I think first of all, the cat is a way to pull people out of it and to like scare them and to give them like the horror part of it,
Okay.
because
It was very
no one,
jarring.
yeah, no one. I'm not gonna say no one, but
Mm.
most people wouldn't lay out the cat for a few.
Right.
Like that was weird,
How
and
she
it
did
was.
that.
It is the first sign that like, hey, even though they've gone to sleep and woken up, things aren't exactly right.
Right.
And
she
then
is like kind of
yeah,
possessed.
and
a
then
little bit.
cooking the cat is a step further. Hopefully, no one's gonna do that. At
Right.
least they're not gonna cook,
For a
your
funeral.
dead cat. Like they might, someone might eat a cat, but
Mhm.
not the cat that you have grown attached to.
And put it in a sandwich.
And then, yeah, without telling you,
Mhm.
wonderful. And I think that's meant us to pull us out of the situation, be like, this is a bit, extreme.
Mhm.
Because who's gonna do this? You can say that that's never gonna happen to me, because hopefully it won't,
But maybe it would.
but maybe it would.
Yeah, that's the most shocking part about this is like, you look like people critique horror movies when they're like, I would never go through that door when they hear the monster behind it.
Yes.
And like, I would never go and look after that sound in the cornfield. This is a horror movie where it's like, I could see myself
Doing all the same
making
decisions.
the wrong decision.
Yeah.
Like,
Doing all the same decisions.
that
he
was
did.
the most shocking part about it.
And so I keep getting brought back to the thought he is living in his grandmother's house.
Mhm.
So who's the cat? Is it his or his grandmother's?
I actually did not know whose house he was living at.
He was living in his grandmother,
I missed
yeah.
that part of the movie. So he
Yes.
was living in his grandmother's house.
Yes. I think when they go into his house the first time, right after he says the wish, she's like, oh, it's bigger than your last place. And
Mhm.
he's like, yeah, this is my grandmother's little place. Like she died or something.
Okay, so it is kind of his spot then.
Yeah, it is kind of his spot. But that's not something that got thoroughly developed.
Mhm.
And I still have a lot of questions over it. And maybe that's on purpose, or maybe that just would have bogged down the experience. Because I
Yeah,
don't
I'm
think
not sure the
everyone's
meaning behind that, but I wonder if there is. Like, I could see it just being a production
Yes.
convenience, but
So, and then when she cooks the cat, he says, "Can't cook the cat," right? Like, that is pretty clear.
mm,
He just doesn't bring up her name. He doesn't bring up Sandy. Like, at a certain point, that name just never gets brought up again.
right.
And if that happened to your pet, would you say the cat? Or would you say Sandy?
I think that I actually would say the cat,
You do.
because I think that in that moment,
You're treating her like a child.
he was kind of, he was treading lightly.
Yes.
You know, he was like, let's be,
Mm.
like, let's infantilize her a little bit, like you're saying, and like, let's, like, anything he says could turn into a horrifying outburst. So I think that he's, like, kind of being a little equivocal and
Yes.
not using, the proper noun there to be a little bit, like, to kind of tread lightly. That's how I got from it. I didn't find it too unnatural. Like,
Yes.
yes, it was unnatural, like, because why would he not say that?
Yep.
But based on the context of him trying to be cowardice like that and how
Yes.
he worded things towards her when he was setting boundaries like that, I think that it did make sense to not include the cat's name, but especially since his own obsession with her
Yep.
was, you could see him being like, I'm getting everything I wanted right now. Like, who gives a shit about the cat's name? Yeah.
If she cooks the cat, right?
Right. Did you have more on that, or
I just
I had something else if you didn't?
no. I think it's just something I thought of, and I've been seeing online discourse of it. No one's
Of the cat's
talking.
name.
No one's talking about the cat,
Okay.
and I think
I think that a certain part of the cat's existence was definitely to, garner some shock there.
yes,
Like, that shit definitely, like,
it's shocking.
Yeah, like, that was pretty fucked up, especially since Brianna was staying with me and she had her cat with her, and I was seeing, like, yo, I've got all my prescription bottles on my counter right now. That was kind of
Yeah.
bugging me the whole movie. I was like,
No, that-
holy shit, I have every bottle just sitting on my counter and the cat is just in my fucking room right now. And he had it in a fucking, like, medicine cabinet.
And think about a knife put out at the beginning of the movie there, the prescription
Yo,
pills.
so that makes sense. Like, you're talking about the grandmother's house. It's not important. I was like, that doesn't look like Bear's name on the fucking pills.
Yep.
It was his grandma. Like, that looks like, it was like Barbara or something, like some fucking female name.
Yep.
It's definitely.
I think it's a part of the overall storytelling that was lost in making the story concise, because it is very concise.
Mhm.
And I think
Yeah.
that is
it was
for
pretty
its
fucking clear.
sellability.
Everything was motivated in the story.
Yeah, everything was
So I
motivated,
imagine
and
there was
everything went
motivation
from
there.
beat to beat.
If something was not motivated, it had to do with the horror.
Yes.
But the grandmother thing is not horrific.
Nope.
So there's definitely.
It's contextualization for Bear.
I think maybe it would kind of just show, to sound like a ridiculous fucking, film analyst here. Like, I would just say that it would show it would further solidify his feeling of being adrift
Yes.
and living in a world that is not his.
Yeah.
Exactly, that's what I was gonna say. And so not really being his
Mhm.
own person. It's not his spot.
Yes.
Clearly we see the fucking TV as a focal point in it occasionally,
Yes.
and that's like a '60s TV.
Yeah.
It was like cartoonishly.
Yep. There's the scene where she's watching him sleep, and there's like a pile of boxes right next to her. That's clearly his grandmother's stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah,
didn't
like,
get
I-
that. Yeah,
so-
I didn't touch on that. I was
But
just
I've
kinda-
seen like
I was pretty.
behind the picture. It was
I was
pretty far into the
petrified
movie.
at that point. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it was pretty far into
like-
the movie.
I was focused on like keeping my
What
eyes
was
open
what was
for it.
happening?
Yeah,
and,
like
actually on the
and
scene
not
instead of
having
set
to close my
dressing.
eyes
But
for scary
there's
ones.
behind the scenes of that, and that is they've clearly dressed that in a way that is his grandmother's, and a lot of the set design there
Okay.
is very interesting. And
Yeah, it's
I
an
think if
interesting
this-
little detail there. Yeah.
I'm sure if you look at the script, and it hopefully exists somewhere online, that is on purpose.
Right.
That is fully thought out. It just didn't make its way into the final film.
Mhm.
And I think that shows a lot of care and depth
For
into
sure.
this
To
story.
build with set building, there's like it's been done since the 20s.
Yes.
The facadism. You build the facade.
Yep.
It's just held up by you can build a fucking Greek palace and it's held up by wooden pillar,
Yeah.
wooden stilts on the other side.
Yep.
This is like this is kind of like building, like in Minecraft, you know, you build the interior.
Yep.
Like kind of build out the whole interior. So I do agree there was a lot of like real passion, and
Yes.
you know, but we can touch on that later, like, you know, the more technical and, you know, elements of the horror on it as well. But
yeah, you had something you wanted to bring up.
I mean, like, there was more actually I wanted to say on like the grass always greener part of it, and like the kind of how it works with Sarah, and you
So
go for it. Yeah.
I remember, you know, long ago, you've said this many times. You're like, grass is always greener on the other side because it's fake.
Grass is always greener when it's big.
Yeah, like, and that's kind of how
what
it
this
was.
is,
Yeah,
and like, you know,
Sarah-
we're saying a lot about how we're talking a lot about the undesirability of the character of Nikki, and like the desirability of
Sarah.
of Sarah.
Yeah,
Now, it's
it's constructed in a way.
It doesn't really end there. I think that Bear would still probably feel this way if Nikki was the same person as Sarah, and the only difference was the overt desire.
Yes.
So Sarah is essentially something that Bear has.
Yes.
Like, that is not something he needs to seek out. That is essentially his. You could say that Sarah is his girlfriend in a way, and like the and Nikki is like she's
something you're striving towards, something you wish to achieve.
right, and at the same time she's just a passing, you know, fancy.
Is something he
A flirt.
wanted and then realized he didn't.
Like, you think about like their outfits at the party, right? Like, Nikki had on like a
The skimpy little thing.
yeah, it was very immodest, very, you know, it wasn't very classy. It was, you know, very, you know,
Look at me.
very showy. It showed a lot of skin and stuff like that. It drew your eyes in.
Yes.
Whereas compared to Sarah's, it was like kind of more modest.
Yes.
And it was a lot more classy.
Classy. It was stylish.
And yet, but like, you know, if you're a guy and you see that walk past you, your eyes are probably going to drift toward it.
Yep.
And like, so it's kind of like, that's where the grass is always greener thing. Like, your eyes are going to drift towards something, and like, there's going to be a moment there where you're like, you know, I'd fucking give anything to fucking have that, despite about what's in front of you. And, you know, what's in front of him in that situation is Sarah. It's like, you have this.
Yes.
And you just have this fucking squeeze, this fun little squeeze, who'd probably be a great fucking Chad. And like, and that's it, you know? And that's all she would really have to offer, like, is her sexuality. So that's kind of where the grass is always greener part comes in. It's like, you know, it's like, this is a fun, crazy little fucking girl, and she has the Madonna horror complex, you know, she's fucking showing her skin. There's the fun aspect in that, like when you go to a strip club and all like that, you know, it's like having a girl who's a stripper there. And
But it's like going to a strip club, it's easy. You're gonna get to see the girl without the skin. And a part of the luxury of a relationship, and especially like the successful ones, is the time spent trying to get there.
Yeah.
And I mean, you experienced it with Brie. You know the trials and tribulations that will
it takes a lot to get a babe. Yeah.
Yeah, that will make the successful relation feel good.
You have to earn it.
You have to earn it. And that just didn't happen with Nikki.
No, he literally wished for it.
He literally wished for it.
And like, moving on from that, like, you know, like going forward in the story with how Sarah and Nikki relate to Bear.
Yes.
He his desire to seek out the grass on the other side. Ultimately, it is what leads to Sarah's death.
Yes.
You know, so it's like you have the babe. You know, she's the right babe. The babe being Sarah.
Yeah.
And you know, she is kind of everything that you'd ever want, and yet, you know, you're having this animalistic, fleeting, meaningless desire.
Yes.
To
achieve something that
to look twice at something that doesn't matter, but then you know, and if you put your hands on it, it just you know, it brings it down with her, you know, like there is collateral damage in what you're doing to to what you have in front of you.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you know, in a lot of guys' lives, like you talk about, like, you know, we've talked about with friends before. You or someone you know has been faced with a situation of a dilemma of having two girls, right?
Yep.
And in that situation, there's always going to be one that wants you more. You
Yep.
know, and you're always like, you know, which one should I pick? You know,
Mm-hmm.
and like, you know, at any point in a guy's life, you're going to have a situation where you're like, I don't know which one I should pick, and yet one does kind of want you more.
Mm-hmm.
But no matter what, in that situation, if you fail to make a call, if you fail to make the right call, you will lose both. That happens.
Yes.
You know, this is something that my mom told me when I was 17.
Yep.
And you know, I was like, yeah, I got these. You know, I'm like, I got these two fucking girls I'm into. And she's like, yeah, you know, there's a right call here. There's a clear thing you should do. But honestly, Kenny, you're gonna lose both, because that's how this goes when you have two girls. You never end up with one. You lose both, and that is kind of how it goes. You know, especially if you don't make the call. And he kind of, you know, he did make the call. He made the wrong call ultimately, especially since he didn't refrain from dabbling with Sarah, which was also turned into a grass is always greener on the side. The fact that he went out with her, the fact that he flirted with her in the car and all that, and you know, kind of when they were in the store, he was kind of enjoying her advances a little bit and allowing himself to be put in situations where she was going to apply them.
Yep.
Do you have something? So,
other than Sarah did like the dumbest thing ever and texted him after Nikki slammed a bottle in her head multiple times.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Like that is...
Yeah, when Nikki brutally killed Sarah, I was like, that's about how it goes,
So
you know? Like, that's the way, you know...
that is how it will end. Maybe not like, horrifically, but
like
it
that.
will feel like that.
It really will. It, like, that is actually how it's going to feel in your gut. You're like, dude, like, I had it all, and I fucking blew it, and it was all my fault. I blew it. I hurt this really amazing, beautiful girl,
and she won't ever be the same afterwards.
And I just
in this case, she is dead.
Yeah,
she's not going to be.
You know, like what a lot of people say is like, oh, I just went after the pretty face. It's like, no, that's not how it always is. They're both pretty faces, man, and that's just like how it is in life. It's like, you know, a girl's gonna have to be attractive to get a lot of guys' attention, right? And they were both attractive.
Yep.
And it's like, you didn't go after the pretty face. You went after what looked a little fun, you know? Like,
you went after your passing fancy.
Right, yeah.
You went after what was greener.
Looked like a theme park ride rather than like an actual
what the spotlight was on.
Mm-hmm. It was just some bullshit.
Yep. And I remember telling you that you need to watch this movie. I think I told you before you watched it. Like,
yeah, you saw it before me, and I was like, I want to see it with Brianna, since it was like, you know, it's kind of like
kind of relationship.
It's a bit of a couples movie.
It's a bit.
Yeah, like, you know how like the fucking one with Huey, recently, the one that the Barbarian guy did, Companion.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, this is kind of like a bit of a go see it together movie. Yeah.
Not perfectly, but it's almost there. It feels that way, definitely. There's a lot of questions that will get brought up with the babe.
Oh yeah, you know, Brianna and I have a lot to talk about that as well. I mean, she had a lot of interesting thoughts. Do you have more before we move on to the technical aspect? I do as well.
The moment where, you know, Nikki just runs up to the car and brutally murders Sarah.
Yes.
That's people in front of me just absolutely lost their popcorn and threw it up in the air.
That was the part?
Yeah, that was the part.
Yeah.
They walked out after that, and I was like, you know what? I had already disassociated from the movie. I'd already been like, this isn't real. This is just really good.
It's epilogue at that point.
Yep.
You're like, they're all dying. Yeah. This isn't going to go well. She's dead. He's going to die. There is no coming back from that point. Like, if that was you know, she committed a murder there, and it's like, this has changed. This is the end of the story.
Stakes is raised.
We are just in an epilogue. Yeah, like there isn't a lot of theme after this point.
I remember
that was the thematic
end
of the movie.
Like right when, you know, cook the cat. I was like, the horror of it set in. I was like, all right, well, no, Bear needs to die.
Yeah.
Like, and you know what? I'd be fine if Nikki dies too, and at least one of them needs to, and I'd rather it be Bear, to be honest. And you know what? The friends need to die as well, because they've enabled this by being inactive. And I disassociated from that because I already wanted all of them to die, and I was like, okay, cool.
Right. Now you're feeling good about it, at least. Like, now it is actually gonna, you know what's gonna happen.
My girlfriend had already noticed how uncomfortable I was. And then I was like, she was just like, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I just want all of them to die. Like, this is great and all, and I'm loving it, and I will see it to its end. They should all die.
Yeah.
Like, I am done with all
And
of
then you
their
actually
bullshit.
reach comfort after she killed Sarah. You're like, this is
good.
you know how it's gonna end. That is like we've reached a threshold in the story here where this ends probably one way unless there's a major twist.
Yep.
Which there wasn't. It was like, this is gonna wrap it up. We're gonna put a bow on it.
I don't think there was any
Everyone's gonna
twist
die.
really in this
Like,
movie.
you know, and I think the director even mentioned what Nikki's fate was, which was I read a quote earlier today. She was like, she's probably going to jail for a very long time, which is how
Like
it's not going to end well for Nikki either.
Yeah.
And like, you know, it's not like I hate Nikki for her poor personality, but it's like this is how it's gonna go. You know, you
like
have,
once
you
you
have your own
get
part to play in it.
extremely obsessed over someone, and it's not her.
Granted, it wasn't her,
fault.
but like,
Yeah.
you know, this is how it goes, man. You know, I think there was a critique on that as well. She played with him. She led him on. You know, she fucked his friend and all that. You know, she clearly knew that he liked her. She did kind of like him. This is how it goes.
You know, you played the game.
Everyone
and
had fates that didn't quite match the circumstances, but relative to what happened to everyone else, she had what was coming to her in the same way that everyone else did. You know, it's a bit of a stretch. It airs a bit towards a tragedy towards Nikki. But it's also like, you know,
damn.
Like fuck, you know, like
this is an extreme of what could happen.
You decided to build your personality around something that preys on like men that are willing to give their attention to anything. So, you know, you're talking about like the depth of the characters, and I'll touch on that a little bit more when we get to the technical side of things, but I was actually very focused on the deaths of the characters literally in the first scene of the movie.
Really?
I was, you know, I don't see a lot of horror movies.
Yep.
You don't either.
No.
And like in the first, you know, I have seen a lot of horror movies, right? And, you know, it's a typical formula. I'm like, this slowly goes south.
Yes.
And everyone dies.
Yep.
And at the first scene of the movie, it's a lovely scene. You know, it's a really well written scene of him talking to the waitress and, you know, practicing the waitress how he's going to confess his feelings to Nikki. He has his friend there.
Yep.
They're having a nice friendly banter here. And I'm like, I wonder how that friend is going to die. Because I know he's gonna. I don't know anything about him. I know he's gonna.
He will be a tragic victim.
Yes, who will have a shocking death in this.
He will be the shocking death.
Yes.
I mean, both friends ended up being the shocking
death.
But his was, you know, extra.
Mm-hmm.
Felt superfluous. It was there for, you know, shock value.
Yeah. I mean, you know,
Sarah's
there's
death
probably
kind of
some
ended up
motivation there, but like, you know, I never really reached a point of like, okay, I know everyone's gonna die, because like I actually was preparing for myself for that at the start.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not being a huge horror person, I'm like,
yeah,
everyone's gonna die. Yeah, like I was trying to disconnect. It was funny at the start. I was literally trying to disconnect from it, and I couldn't have ended up more connected with it at the end.
I'm still connected, like we're talking about, and I feel goosebumps.
Right.
Like, this is it hits a little hard.
Yeah, like another part of it was that kind of shocked me was I forget like what aspect, like kind of like the last thing I touched on a little bit, but like the before we get technical, was like when she did something fucking crazy, and he was talking to her about it. Bear was talking to Nikki about it, like you can't fucking do that.
Yep.
And it could have been any number of the many things that the exact conversation happened, and I think he was being more aggressive, and like she was being all soft and quiet. She was like I'm so fucking sorry, babe, and she was like kissing him and like, you know, like really being super affectionate toward him, and like, you know, he was like, you know, it's like it's all good, and like I didn't know that I did this, like, you know, Brianna told me later on that I was audibly like, "That do it." It's like she could cook the cat and feed it to me, but if she kissed me like that and told me she was sorry, I'd be like, you know, baby girl, you know, fucking
it's alright, it's alright.
You know, and like, you know, I said this before, how like this kind of did it. It can be the most attractive thing a girl can do is apologize, and, you know, and the fact that she would do it, and it feels so fucking good. When like, you know, we're guys, you know, we're gonna be all over our girls, you know, we're gonna be fucking all over our girlfriends just because, you know, we fucking want them.
Yeah.
But to to feel that when we get it back from them, when they're kind of feeling it too, and they're coming at us and they're kissing us and they're fucking doing it in their soft girly fucking way. It can kind of make me fucking, you know, if she said burn down an orphanage right there, I think I might do it.
It'll make you like lose what you're angry about.
Yeah.
Like, you know what? It's alright.
Yeah,
I forgive you.
I thought that was funny that like I didn't even notice it. That Brianna was like, yeah, I audibly was like, yeah, that'd get me. Yep, sure enough, in that situation, I think that'd be enough of an apology. And you know, because it, you know, he's so deprived, you know, and it's like we as guys just generally are, even when we're in a relationship, because you know it's hard to get affection as a guy. It's just how it is.
Yeah.
So like when you get it, it can really just be such an easy tool for manipulation unless you can really think your way around it. Like, you know, I said that do it, but like I know that wouldn't really do it. I actually know that it wouldn't. Like, you know, she cooked my cat and all that, like my dead fucking cat. Sure, I think that I'd be like, you're closer, but like it's not quite enough.
Yeah, but this like times 100.
Yeah, right. It's like you got
you're on the right
something
track.
so insane, and what's even more insane is that you got 1% of me to forgive you.
Yep. Like you're on the right track. I could see myself
fucking
forgiving
world.
you.
Yeah, from just doing that,
Yeah.
from doing fucking nothing, from saying you're sorry and kissing me all soft and shit like that. But yeah, I mean that about do it. You know, towards the end there, I was like, this is a pretty haunting look in the mirror. You know, his own selfishness and his own desires is like,
power till the end.
yeah. You know, and there is that in all of us. That, you know, I think there's certainly something that women can relate to in the character of Bear here as well. It's not just a masculine thing, but I think there is a huge masculine thing about this.
Yeah.
Like there is something that applies to specifically men about this. Like sure, like there is like a odd human desire here, but and I'm sure, you know, like we said, we touch on the faults of Nikki, and I'm sure there's some in Sarah as well, where you are a predatory character on your own, where you are kind of working towards your own agenda, and like how you mentioned as well, how Nikki just didn't give a fuck about his dead cat. He's like, yeah, it sucks, just come on out though.
Yeah.
I want you to come out. I want your attention. I like you. Come on out. You know?
Yep.
And so there's a lot more there as well, but
Like,
you know,
what could be more important than me putting in my 2 weeks?
yeah, exactly. I want to talk to you about that. But anyway.
So what technical parts did you have to bring up?
One more thing. Brianna was she was talking about how she read an article about the about this new genre of horror, and this touches on film on a much more broader perspective. But she was saying like what's really interesting right now is this genre of incel horror, and you know, he definitely is like, you know, bona fide, you know, incel archetype.
Yep.
And, you know, and that's where like, you know, you and me and many other guys could write him off as like, this isn't fucking me, but this exists in all of us. But we can touch more on that later. But anyway, so do you have something you want to go first on the technical part?
No, I knew, but you're a film guy. I know you have everything.
No, I like want to hear, like, because what I'm going to talk about is like, you know, horror elements and like
sound design. I think they really knocked it out of the park.
That was something I was mentioning as well.
Yeah, it was, especially in like the scenes that were supposed to be romantic between him and Nikki, and then with him and Sarah as well. They were almost there with him and Nikki, but they were, you know, a pitch off. So it created unease. And then once it got to him and Sarah, there was no unease there in the music.
Okay.
To lull you in a bit more.
You kind of had just the silence at all. I didn't even notice that.
Yes,
There was
very
barely
good.
any score whatsoever.
No, there was score.
Yeah, barely any.
But yeah, the score. Yeah, it was like, it was, you know, just orchestral.
Yeah, classic movie. So yeah.
And like the pitch wasn't off when he was with Sarah, so it could, you know, the moment could hit, because that moment's supposed to hit, and a sound is huge.
You're talking about which moment with Sarah, when he's in the car with her at the end, or
yeah, when she fucking dies into the steering wheel.
Yeah,
a couple times.
Brick on the steering wheel. Yeah. Interesting. I hadn't actually taken note of how the score was playing into the story.
So
that's like, if I recall correctly, during that scene, you know, when she's like, I was to your left, like she was saying, or rather, the score was like kind of like just a, you know,
it was just very calm,
soft kind
it
of
was soft
chill
and calm,
music, yeah.
but it was very reminiscent of things that had played earlier.
What kind of got me with the sound design beyond the score was like the there's something that keeps replaying in my head about it, and like there's like this scene where like he's about to go to work and the door is duct taped and all that right before we see the door is duct taped, and he's like talking and he's like, you know, don't make fucking weird movements and shit like that. And she's like, what about this? And she has that weird smile that lingers for like 30 seconds. And like that's horrifying.
Yep.
And so, you know, and then a couple minutes later he leaves and she's standing there and she assumes that smile, and we hold on that smile for a very, very, what feels like a very long time.
It is very much a linger.
And then we see her piss herself.
Yeah.
Right. And you know, and then we move on from that. We see Bear go about his day. He has the moment with Sarah at work.
Yep.
Where she's talking about her stress and all that shit, and they're in. And then there's the shit with the cat as well. And so here's where the sound gets me. So he opens up the door, and we see her covered in her own vomit and shit and piss, and standing on it. And so she's like, what is she? She's like, baby, you know, like in like a really soft, sweet voice. And at the same time, for the entire next 5 minutes until she goes in the bathroom to clean herself up, we are hearing like cartoonish, like unbelievable squelches, you know, stuff that is like it's overtly added.
Yeah.
You know, it's like this is like totally not the sound that we're making, but like it's fucking with me. Like it's like kind of getting me fucking going here, and like, and that's kind of what I've been thinking about a lot is what her contrast with her reaction there with him coming through the door and her being covered in her own fucking piss and shit and vomit, and just the fucking sound of that, of her hugging him and walking around and be like, yeah, this is fucking gross. Like the sound design was like in that scene is a really good example of, I think, the whole thing. It was really simplistic.
Yes.
And like I said, it didn't really maintain my suspension of disbelief, like I was saying.
Yeah.
Like I knew in the scene, like this sound is not really fitting what's happening. It fucked with me, yeah. It was like a cartoonish element to it.
Yes.
You know, if they would almost animate something on
so
screen, like
it is brought to the extreme.
Yes.
Like this is what it would sound like if you like put a microphone up to it and, you know, slammed on it. Like it might sound like this.
It was just so clear to just achieve its agenda, its desired effect, the sound design rather. And like how you're saying how the music just abruptly ended when she's getting her fucking face slammed into the steering wheel. And yeah, no, they're like, it's funny that you brought up the sound first, because that actually was gonna be the first thing that I brought up was that scene.
Yes.
A lot of the best horror, like in the entire fucking medium of filmmaking, has been the stuff that is low budget. You know, the most profitable movie ever remains the fucking Slenderman movie, fucking Blair Witch Project, which was like a $12,000 found film budget, and like so that, like, you know by ROI, that still remains the most profitable one. And this had a lot of that same kind of simplicity. You know, did it have jump scares? Sure. But it was like the jump scares were never really
they felt like they were in place.
They didn't bring a catharsis either.
No.
Like so one example is like Nikki's walking around with the fucking plant in front of her face. We're getting like the stupid fucking upward scale of a horror movie for the soundtrack, and she has the plant in front of her face, and he's like, can you please just fucking get back into bed? And he's freaking out. She brings the plant, she's like, yeah, okay. Like it's all just like fucking queefs like that. You know, they never really bring in any sort of real catharsis, any of the jump scares rather. but they still make you jump, sure.
Yeah.
And like a lot of the jump scares are done through sound as well, but they're also done in motion. It's not just like a violin screeching upward, like the Insidious movies.
It's contrast.
Yeah, it was a lot more holistic. They were a lot more shocking, but it clearly made use of what it had. So it was kind of like a lower budget horror movie. Sure. Granted, you can do great things with a budget in horror, like Hereditary, like Midsommar, like Beau was Afraid. But
like you were saying, your first movie should be a horror movie.
Yeah, there's like the directors. That's kind of a thing that they're saying right now, in like the being a filmmaker, you shouldn't do a drama. You should start out with being horror. And like that makes a lot of sense. You can really get seriously creative here. And this did do a lot of things differently than you see in a lot of films, and like any films in general.
I enjoyed how dark scenes were.
Yeah.
How hard it was to see her face at times.
There wasn't like clear outlines of her.
There's a thing in Japanese where you can't, if you don't see their eyes, you're not seeing into their soul, so you can't read their intent. And a lot of those scenes, you can't see her eyes.
Interesting. I'd love to know the actual like Japanese word for that or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm sure there is.
Yeah, there is definitely one.
So it's like if you don't see their eyes, you are not.
The
seeing
eyes
their
are the
soul.
gateway to the soul. So if you don't see the eyes, you don't know their intent.
So we got a lot of her silhouette there.
Yes.
And I mean, if that.
Like sometimes it was you could not see her face.
Like the one of her standing in the corner. Everyone's talking about that one.
Yes.
Her standing in the corner and not really saying we were sitting there waiting for like
something to happen.
30 seconds.
Nothing happened.
And then she just says, "Go back to sleep."
Yeah.
Right. That's all she says. And then it's like a lot longer until we see her kind of come out of it a little more before she comes back to bed and there's a whole shit plan and everything. When he's looking up, he's like, "Where is she?" And she's looking around. It's like, we know she's in there. There's not even her camouflage. Like when she comes out of that corner, I never saw her there to begin with.
Nope.
There was a lot of like really making use of her non-existent there, and like at the very start, it's funny that you mentioned this whole soul thing. Like at the very start when he makes the wish, the first unsettling shot we get besides the cat was her standing in her doorway.
Yeah.
And
you can't see it.
And she's just the still.
Something's wrong.
Yeah.
Because every you see characters' faces. That was not really something they do.
Yeah, that was their vessel for a lot of the horror and like basically like showing her possession. Was the
she did it
the silhouette.
Human.
Yes, the
like
silhouette.
She was human.
A shadow. Yeah,
not human.
A hollow example. And
she wasn't all there.
Yeah, people talk about also like at the end there after the party, and she's like scurrying around and backward and shit, and she like walks and talks backwards or something. Like
she walks backwards. I've been seeing lots of that.
Speaks backwards is kind of something. I don't know. That one was like horrifying. Yeah. And so like we should talk about like how I guess we are like we're how earned and artful and artistic the horror was in this.
It was.
Yeah, like it wasn't just basic shit.
No,
there was never anything like there was never any like crazy designed character.
But it was a lot of decisions made, I believe, in post. Like I imagine they were filmed that way. But they were also edited that way.
Yeah, like when they're putting in those sounds.
Yes, they're putting in those sounds.
When
the clips
making her look a lot darker.
How long these clips last? They linger.
They do.
And a lot of them do, and that creates a sort of unease. It's not snappy. This movie, even though it flows the entire time, it takes its time. It does not move instantly off a scene. It wants you to feel uneasy in the moment. It's making you settle in the moment. Like she doesn't respond immediately, and like she was in the shower taking a shower and she shuts it off and she takes a moment. It's loud. She shuts it off and then she comes out.
Like making it that loud was a choice.
Yes.
Every aspect was motivated in that regard. Like it was like
everything was on purpose.
It was and like that's not unique to this film.
No.
But it is something you find in the greatest films.
Yes.
Intent
and purpose.
Yes.
Throughout
every
it all.
single aspect of every frame and every sound is motivated. And that really rings true in this.
It shows care and attention to detail.
Right.
And
for something that was, I imagine, pretty low budget.
I imagine so as well.
And I don't want to, people are already glazing the actress so much.
Yes, and she did a wonderful job.
We should talk about that, I think.
Yeah.
She was chameleonic, is kind of how I describe it. She, like, her physical ability to like move like an entity and like look like one was very impressive. The way she was able to really look not human.
Mm-hmm. And I think
in a believable way.
I imagine much towards the production and how she was told to do things.
Yes.
And she executed brilliantly.
She did a brilliant job.
Yes.
She did, like, that shows some real talent there. Like, that actually shows like an athletic talent.
Yes.
Really, the way she was able to
move in and out of scenes.
Yeah, her
move
actual
in a
appearance on things. And people are probably wording this a lot better than we are, but like, because they're talking about her a lot.
Unnaturally. Like he said, like Bear said in the movie, like, don't make
weird.
Yeah. Like, she was moving weird.
Yes, she moved, and that's not something that you can really do with a lot of smoke and mirrors. Like, like a lot of what she did was just her. Making her silhouette is one thing, but making her be completely still like that, and be like the way that she was able to have contrast in her emotions is like what people say about James McAvoy in Split, like how she was able to really show like two souls inside of her and like show her own possession. Like,
I think that was a lot in the voice as well.
Yeah,
she did
yes,
wonderful
how the
job.
voice didn't really match what she was doing.
Yes,
and like how, like, I'm going back to the example of her covered in shit and piss and vomit, how she still sounded so normal despite all that, and her flips to her screams and her wails and all that shit.
I think about the scene where real Nikki is alive and well when she's laying in bed. And she's like, she's asleep. Like that, she is like so terrified in that scene. That's really the only time we ever see that, and
we see the real Nikki.
Yeah, and it feels real.
Yeah,
it feels so much different from everything.
It's
else
just human there,
and it hurts. Like, you're like, this is like, at no point in that scene did I feel like this is the Wish Nikki. This feels real, and that is.
I bought it. Yeah,
that was that was. I imagine that was never.
Quickly.
I imagine that was never your thought there, and I don't think that's anyone else's. And that comes directly from the actress and how she spoke.
I didn't really need to be convinced.
Yeah. Her voice did all the convincing.
Yeah, like it was like, yo, this fucking.
It
sounds like her.
Yeah,
like it sounds like fucking real Nikki for a second. You're like
Bear standing up. He's tiptoeing around, and then she speaks. And yet I don't feel like that is, the Wish Nikki. I feel like he is safe despite, him totally not being. And it's because, Nikki's sane at the moment.
I don't think that we would be glazing this actress just because everyone else is doing it for no reason. Like, this really deserves a lot of credit.
Yeah.
Like she did like a truly Shakespearean generational performance here. So I'm excited to see what she does beyond this. Same with the director as well. We don't even need to talk about how cool it is that he's just this fucking YouTuber who's doing a movie.
Yeah, no, it's pretty cool. Yeah.
It is a much broader conversation about the state of Hollywood and how this is being super successful.
I am
and all that.
100% happy how successful it is.
Super.
It deserves it. Even if I won't watch it again because I'm fucking scared out of my mind.
Hey, I'm turning the bathroom light on to make sure Nikki's not hanging in the corner sometimes.
I don't understand why he doesn't sleep with the light on.
Yeah, dude, with her, bro.
There were some decisions he made, and I was just like,
this
you
actually is not what I would
turn on the light, dude.
And she's not gonna be scary.
Like, I'd fall asleep with your eyes open.
There's probably, a couple more things that we're forgetting, but like, in summary, like we're talking about how technically horrifying the movie is. I think it is still so true. Like, what the most horrifying part of this movie is like,
it could
this
be
really could be me, in this situation. Like,
it is a little too real.
Yeah.
It is hard to say that this is just a movie. And
the archetypes are right on the head for everyone's trying to portray.
I've watched it like 3 weeks ago, right? And I think I could name Like, I think I could say beat for beat how this movie goes.
Right.
And that's because I have thought about it.
It was pretty impactful.
It's pretty impactful. Like,
and I like
it's giving me goosebumps now. The feelings have not faded, and I think that is a sign of great art. It's not something that you experience and then forget about. It's something that lingers on, that its lessons instilled in you.
Absolutely.
And it's incredible.
Yeah,
in that
you
way.
were saying
It's
that
been
to me.
wild.
You're like, this is sticking with me, and you need to go see it.
You need to go see
I
it.
did, and it is really like I think about it a lot, and like. And you think, like, I'm thinking about it in my day-to-day life. It's like, should I really, like, a pretty girl walks by, should I really turn around and check her out, Should I really look twice at that, or should I just be grateful I have Sarah, what I'm saying?
Yeah, but, like, the moment happens where, like, a fleeting thought brings you back to this movie,
and it gives you
goosebumps,
really
and you're
like that. Just
it gives you pause.
Yeah, the fucking looking in the mirror in it, and how it kind of slowly got you, too, where it's like, at the start, it earned its way into making you believe that you are Bear.
Yeah.
It's like, because I think most guys were like, dude, the loser.
Yep.
Not me, bro. And it's like, you could be anybody. You could be anybody and have anything. Like, you're gonna see yourself in this punk. Yeah. And that was that was just the most horrifying part of the movie.
So,
I mean, like, how often are we gonna, how often do we have, like, such serious things to say about a movie, even like really good movies that we've really enjoyed? It's like, damn, that was a banger, it was a good movie.
This was
something really different. This was something different.
It has themes that will persist. It has themes that are real and need to be talked about, and it is horrifying, and it will stay with us.
Right. It's so easy to do like a horrifying theme of toxic masculinity, right? And but it just, every time it comes out cheap and contrived, and just like, and as a guy, you're like, fuck that.
You think about the premise of this movie, A Wish Gone Wrong. How often has that been played out?
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
There's nothing original about that part.
There's nothing original about this. I don't think there's much original about the movie in general from its premise.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, like even his characters, I think they're pretty.
It is best
by and
fucking
large,
fucking fables and shit.
Yep. And yet, all of it works, I think, and
it serves as the medium for a lot broader of a critique.
It is better than the sum of its parts, which is an indicator of something that is truly great.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I feel like it's almost like us talking about this. I was like looking for some sort of closure, but
I am
like I don't feel it. It still is
and
kind of haunting me. It
still. And it will. It should.
Yeah, it should, and that's a good thing. But it's like it is almost like talking about this. I was hoping that I would find some sort of respite or reprieve from that, but it's
it may be a little bit.
I should be grateful that it doesn't.
Yeah,
to consume a piece of art that is so impactful. Yeah, and whether or not this was the intention behind the story, like this is, we talk about this a lot. Like, it gets bigger than you.
Yep.
It gets bigger than what you intend on your art.
Sometimes you write it and you're done with it, and things you haven't intended came through.
Yeah, it gets bigger than you pretty quickly.
Yep.
In this, like I said, whether or not this was the intention behind any of these themes or symbolism or anything like that, like this is how it is.
Given
whether it was conscious or not.
Given the care taken with everything in this movie, I would say it was, and I'm happy with trusting in the fact that they put forth that amount of effort.
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of opened me up to probably seeing a little bit more horror than often. It does produce some bangers.
It does produce some bangers. I will say that.
Right. Yeah.
This was a certified banger.
This was a banger.
Do you think this will be your movie of the year?
It fucking could be, man. Like, I'm trying to think about what else I've
seen so far and will coming out.
Yeah, like I've seen a good couple, like, on my own time, some good couple old movies.
Yeah.
But from what I've seen so far, it's pretty good. Looking forward to Odyssey.
Of course.
And the Spielberg flick that is out now. Disclosure Day.
Disclosure Day.
I believe it's out now.
Yep.
Like those could do it. And
Good.
I could also see it not. with like I think Disclosure Day would be a good example. Like that's gonna be a really fun, really well executed, high budget movie that I'm gonna think about a lot. And it's gonna be super huge inspiration, stuff like that. This movie sticks with me in a way that probably about, if I'm lucky, once a year a movie kind of does. You know, where it really is that. Where it almost makes you kind of, you know, with any art, like, you know, when you're employing a theme and you're trying to do a critique like that, it's kind of an egotistical goal, but it still is there to try to change someone's life, you know, to kind of get through to someone. And like, it's so hard to do that. It's nearly impossible. It's not like always the goal. Sometimes you just want to create a good piece of, there is art and entertainment. And like, this is something that, like, you know, could have kind of got through to me. Like I'm saying, it's like, do I really need to think about the grass on the side? You know, like I should kind of be great. You know, I should try to be less cowardice. You know, I think a little less of myself, and
be a bit less selfless.
Those are easy themes.
A bit more selfless.
Those are easy themes, and this might be one that is like, yeah, maybe I should learn something from this. You know, from fiction, and that's just.
It's rare sometimes.
Yeah, it is really rare. It's extremely rare to see that. And it's the goal of so many things, so many amazing pieces still fail to do that.
And this was it.
Yeah, there's still just like a fleeting thing. It's like, interesting theme. I should be a nicer person, but I'm not gonna. But it was cool. It gave it a good go, and I love the movie. But like,
yeah, maybe this one we'll get an active nice.
Yeah. So far for sure, it's like
gives you pause at least.
It makes you think twice about a lot of you know, a lot of
everyday things,
natural desires and feelings of selfishness that you have. So I don't know. I wouldn't be shocked if the Odyssey did that. I wouldn't be shocked if Disclosure Day did that, and it doesn't take away from how great those pieces would be. But you got to give credit to it. You know, this might have actually achieved its theme.
I think it does achieve its theme.
Yeah.
I think it's just, like I said, you needed to see it, and
in a way, like a propaganda film achieves a theme.
Yeah.
You know?
Like when I told you, I was just like, I watched the movie and you need to see it, and like if push comes to shove, I will see it with you. Like
it's just like, you gotta get it in you, and we need to talk about it.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe you were looking for some sort of respite there. It's like, let's talk about it with someone who actually knows how to talk about these things. But here we are, man.
Here we are.
I feel any better about it.
This is maybe the movie of the year.
Yeah, it totally could be.
And you gotta be there for the moment. Yep.
Yeah, I'm glad that I got to see with everybody else. You know, the theater was full. Rihanna and I were up in like a corner.
Yep.
And I bought the tickets like a good few hours before on like a fucking Thursday.
Yep.
And that's great.
It's great.
You know, fuck everything else about it.
After
that part's great.
Yeah.
You know, the real aspect of it. This is putting asses in seats. It's fucking putting popcorns in mouths. It's
getting people to the movies.
All right. Hopefully I feel better about it.
I don't know about that.
I think we can call that there. Perfect.